There are 10 messages the universe sends Leo before the richest phase of life begins. Most people never notice them, not because the messages are hidden, but because they arrive quietly long before abundance becomes visible. If you are Leo and you are listening to this now, it means these messages are already active in your life. The richest phase of your life does not start with money arriving. It starts when the universe begins speaking through changes, endings, pressure, and inner signals you can no longer ignore. 2026 is not a random year for Leo. It represents the moment when preparation turns into reward. But preparation does not feel like reward. It feels like confusion. It feels like restlessness. It feels like being pushed to outgrow people, situations, and versions of yourself that once felt safe. These are not problems. They are messages. 10 of them. Each one sent to test whether Leo is ready to hold more responsibility, more visibility, more power, and more abundance without shrinking, overgiving, or losing direction. What you are about to hear are not predictions. They are confirmations of what has already begun unfolding around you. Some of these messages may feel uncomfortable. Others may feel validating. All of them are purposeful. And here is something important to understand from the start. If Leo listens, life advances. If Leo ignores them, life repeats. So, stay with me until the end. Not because this is entertainment, but because recognizing these 10 messages is how the richest phase of your life aligns. Before we begin, take a moment and ask yourself, have you felt that life has been subtly signaling you lately, even if you couldn't explain how? If yes, leave a comment. Awareness is the first message. Now, let us begin with message 1. The message that explains why certain chapters must close before Leo can step into the richest phase of life in 2026. Message 1. When the universe removes people and situations before Leo's richest phase begins. The first message the universe sends Leo before the richest phase of life begins is rarely gentle. It arrives as separation. You may have noticed it already. People who once felt close now feel distant. Connections you tried to save no longer respond. Situations you invested energy into suddenly collapse without explanation. At first, this feels like loss, like rejection, like being misunderstood or abandoned at the exact moment you needed support. But this is not punishment. This is preparation. The universe does not expand Leo's life while it is overcrowded with misaligned energy. Before abundance arrives, space must be created. Leo carries a powerful presence, a natural authority, a light that grows stronger with maturity. And not everyone can stand beside that light without trying to dim it, compete with it, or feed from it. Some people leave because they can no longer access you the way they used to. Others disappear because they were only comfortable with the version of you that stayed small, silent, or overgiving. When Leo insists on holding on to connections that have completed their purpose, growth slows. The universe intervenes not to hurt you, but to protect what you are becoming. Think of it this way. The richest phase of your life will require clarity, focus, energy, emotional stability. It cannot be built while you are constantly explaining yourself, rescuing others, tolerating disrespect, or revisiting chapters that already taught their lesson. This is why some endings happened without closure. Closure would have tempted you to look back. The universe chose forward motion instead. Life lesson. Not every loss is a failure. Some losses are removals designed to protect your future. Leo enters the richest phase of life not by collecting more people, but by standing among the right ones. If this resonates, comment below, I'm learning to let go. Naming the lesson helps release the weight. And now, as space clears around you, the universe sends the second message, one that explains why your prayers were never ignored even when nothing seemed to change. Let's move to message 2. Message 2. When your prayers are answered in ways you did not expect, the second message the universe sends Leo before the richest phase of life begins is subtle, and because of that, it is often misunderstood. It is the realization that your prayers were never ignored. They were answered differently than you imagined. Think back for a moment. There were times when you asked for relief, for progress, for clarity, for money stability, or recognition. You asked sincerely, sometimes quietly, sometimes desperately. And when nothing seemed to happen, you assumed the answer was no. But the universe does not respond according to urgency. It responds according to wisdom. While you were focused on immediate relief, the universe was focused on long-term alignment. While you were asking for quick solutions, it was shaping foundations strong enough to last. You may have asked for a door, and instead a path was removed. You may have asked for money, and instead you were given a skill, an idea, or a change in perspective that could generate far more over time. You may have asked for love, and instead relationships ended so your standards could finally rise. These were not delays, they were upgrades. The universe sees Leo's entire timeline, not just the present moment. It knows what would have harmed you if it arrived too early. It knows what would have inflated ego instead of building authority. And it knows that Leo's richest phase must be stable, not chaotic. That is why answers often arrived disguised as detours, as patience, as discomfort. You may have noticed moments of calm appearing in the middle of uncertainty, sudden insights that changed how you see yourself, repeated confirmations that seemed to appear exactly when your faith was weakening. These are answers. The universe rarely responds with spectacle. It responds with precision. And right now, Leo precision is being applied to your life. Life lesson. An unanswered prayer is often a prayer being answered at a higher level. The richest phase of your life requires trust, not blind faith, but earned trust through experience. If this message reflects your journey, comment below, "I trust the timing." Acknowledging trust strengthens alignment. And as trust deepens, the universe sends the third message, one that explains why every time you had to start over, you were never going backward. Let's move into message 3. Message 3. When starting over becomes proof that you are being prepared. The third message the universe sends Leo before the richest phase of life begins is one many Leos misunderstand for far too long. It is the repeated experience of starting over. You may feel like life has reset you more than once. Plans collapsed. Relationships ended, finances fluctuated, certainty dissolved just when you thought you had finally stabilized. At times it felt unfair, as if you were being pushed back to the beginning, while others seemed to move forward without resistance. But from the universe's perspective, you were never being sent backward. You were being refined. Each restart removed illusion. Each fall stripped away dependence on what could not last. Each rebuilding phase forced you to develop inner structure instead of external validation. The universe does not place lasting abundance into unstable foundations. Many people receive wealth or recognition before they are ready and lose it just as quickly. What looks like luck often becomes collapse. Leo's path is different. You were required to rebuild so you could learn how to hold success without being consumed by it, to experience loss without losing identity, to stand again without bitterness. Every time you rose after disappointment, something inside you strengthened. Resilience replaced desperation. Clarity replaced urgency. Self-respect replaced survival. That is why the richest phase of your life is not behind you. It is approaching. You were being trained to endure pressure without breaking, to stay sovereign when circumstances tried to shrink you, to trust your inner authority even when external confirmation was absent. You may feel tired now, that deep exhaustion that comes from carrying responsibility for too long. But beneath that fatigue, there is something else, a steady inner flame that never went out, a voice that continues to say, "Do not stop here." That voice is not stubbornness, it is alignment. The universe remembers every time you kept going when it would have been easier to quit. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was forgotten. Life lesson: starting over does not mean failure. It means the universe is ensuring you can sustain what is coming. Leo's richest phase requires strength that cannot be borrowed, only earned. If this message reflects your experience, comment below, "I kept going." Acknowledging resilience honors your preparation. And now, as your inner strength solidifies, the universe sends the fourth message, one that reveals why your story is meant to be seen, not hidden. Let us move into message 4. Message 4. When your life story becomes preparation for leadership. The fourth message the universe sends Leo before the richest phase of life begins is not about money at all. It is about visibility. You may have noticed something subtle over time. People come to you with their doubts. They confide in you without fully knowing why. They ask for your perspective, your reassurance, your strength, even when you feel uncertain yourself. This is not coincidence. The universe has been shaping you not only to rise, but to be seen rising. Your experiences were never meant to stay private. The struggles, the losses, the moments of self-doubt, all of them were forging a voice that carries weight. If your life had unfolded smoothly, your words would sound empty. If you had never known scarcity, rejection, or invisibility, your success would feel distant to others. But that is not your path. You know what it means to question your worth. You know what it means to stand strong while feeling unseen. You know what it means to hold yourself together when no one is applauding. That is why when Leo speaks, people listen. The universe is now signaling that hiding is no longer an option. The phase of shrinking to make others comfortable is ending. The phase of doubting whether you are too much is dissolving. You were never too much. You were simply ahead of environments that could not hold your full presence. Leadership does not always look like authority at first. Sometimes it looks like endurance. Sometimes it looks like carrying light quietly until the moment arrives. That moment is approaching. As the richest phase of your life draws closer, your visibility will increase. Your voice will matter more. Your example will influence others, whether you intend it or not. And, yes, some will criticize. That is inevitable. But for every voice that doubts you, there will be many more who feel strengthened simply by watching you refuse to disappear. Life lesson. Your story is not a burden. It is a responsibility. Leo does not rise only for personal gain, but to show what is possible when strength meets integrity. If this message resonates, comment below, "I'm ready to be seen." Acknowledging readiness is an act of alignment. And as your presence expands, the universe sends the fifth message, one that explains why the abundance approaching you may come from an unexpected direction. Let us move into message 5. Message 5, when abundance approaches through an unexpected door. The fifth message the universe sends Leo before the richest phase of life begins often arrives disguised as uncertainty. It is the realization that the abundance you are calling in may not come through the path you expected. You may have been focusing on one direction for a long time. One plan, one role, one version of how success is supposed to look. And yet subtle signals have been trying to pull your attention elsewhere. An idea you once dismissed, a talent you never fully claimed, a conversation that lingered in your mind longer than it should have, a possibility that felt interesting but inconvenient. The universe is asking you to look again. Leo is naturally creative, expressive, and influential. Your value has never been limited to a single role or structure. But when pressure builds, it is easy to cling to what feels familiar even if it no longer fits. The richest phase of your life will not be created by repeating what drains you. It will be unlocked by honoring what expands you. Abundance often enters through side doors, a collaboration that begins casually, a project that starts small, an opportunity that feels uncertain but alive. These openings test something important: your relationship with worth. If you believe abundance must be difficult, you will overlook what arrives with ease. If you believe you must struggle to deserve more, you will hesitate when opportunity feels too simple. The universe does not reward self-sacrifice. It responds to alignment. That is why you may soon be presented with something that looks modest on the surface but carries potential beneath it. This is not the final form. It is the invitation. How you treat small openings reveals whether you are ready for larger ones. When Leo honors their value in small moments, the universe responds with expansion. Life lesson. Abundance does not always arrive loudly. Sometimes it tests readiness through subtle opportunity. Leo enters the richest phase of life by moving toward what feels aligned, not just what feels safe. If this message resonates, comment below, "I'm open to new paths." Openness creates movement. And as opportunity begins to shift direction, the universe sends the sixth message, one that explains why protecting your energy is no longer optional. Let us move into message 6. Message 6. When protecting your energy becomes essential to prosperity. The sixth message the universe sends Leo before the richest phase of life begins is firm and unmistakable. It is the need to protect your energy. For a long time, you may have carried more than was yours. Other people's emotions, other people's expectations, other people's chaos. You did this out of loyalty, generosity, and a deep sense of responsibility. But generosity without boundaries slowly turns into depletion. The universe is now making it clear abundance cannot settle in a life where energy is constantly leaking. You may have noticed fatigue that rest does not fix, a fogginess in your thinking, a sense that even small demands feel heavier than they used to. These are not signs of weakness. They are signals that you have been giving from reserves meant for your future. Leo is not meant to be the hero in every story. You are not here to rescue people who refuse to take responsibility for their own growth. And you are not required to stay silent just to keep the peace. As the richest phase of your life approaches, the universe will test your boundaries. It will place situations in front of you that ask, will you choose self-respect or will you overextend once again? When you say no to what drains you, something important happens. Your clarity sharpens. Your body responds. Your focus returns. Energy is the foundation of prosperity. Without it, ideas stall, motivation fades, and opportunities pass unnoticed. The universe is inviting you to redefine strength, not as endurance without limit, but as discernment. When Leo protects energy, life responds with momentum. Life lesson: self-care is not indulgence, it is responsibility. Leo enters the richest phase of life by honoring energy as sacred currency. If this message reflects your current season, comment below, "My energy matters." Recognition strengthens protection. And as your energy stabilizes, the universe sends the seventh message, one that explains why emotional healing must happen before true partnership can arrive. Let us move into message 7. Message 7: when healing the heart becomes necessary before love can arrive. The seventh message the universe sends Leo before the richest phase of life begins speaks directly to the heart. It is the realization that love cannot enter fully where old wounds still govern decisions. You may have loved deeply before, given generously, stayed longer than you should have, believed in potential instead of patterns. And when those experiences ended in disappointment, something changed inside you. Not loudly, not dramatically, but subtly. You became more guarded, more careful, less willing to trust without proof. This is understandable, but it is also limiting. The universe is preparing to align you with a relationship that is stable, reciprocal, and mature. One that does not feed on intensity alone, but is built on respect and presence. However, this kind of connection cannot settle into a heart still holding resentment, fear, or unresolved grief. Unhealed pain keeps you tied to old stories. It pulls familiar patterns back into your life, even when you consciously want something different. Healing does not mean forgetting what happened. It means releasing the belief that the past defines what you deserve. You may be asked now to forgive, not to excuse, not to reconcile, but to free yourself. Forgive those who did not know how to meet you at your depth. Forgive yourself for staying where you were undervalued, for ignoring intuition, for giving access to people who could not hold your heart responsibly. The love approaching your life will not require you to shrink chase or prove your worth. It will feel calmer than what you have known before, safer, more grounded. You will recognize it not by intensity, but by peace. Life lesson: healing is not weakness, it is preparation. Leo enters the richest phase of life when the heart is open, not unguarded, but whole. If this message resonates, comment below, "I choose healing." Naming the choice invites alignment. And as the heart becomes clear, the universe sends the eighth message, one that reveals why your creativity is the key to long-term independence. Let us move into message 8. Message 8: when creativity becomes the key to lasting independence. The eighth message the universe sends Leo before the richest phase of life begins points inward. It is the recognition that your creativity is not optional, it is essential. For a long time, you may have treated your creative instincts as secondary, something to express when time allowed, something meaningful but impractical, something you enjoyed but did not fully claim. The universe is now asking you to change that relationship. Leo is not built to thrive in environments that suppress expression. Your energy expands through creation, leadership, storytelling, vision, and the ability to bring warmth and meaning into spaces that feel empty without you. When creativity is ignored, life becomes heavy, routine turns into obligation, work becomes endurance instead of purpose. You may have felt this dissatisfaction growing quietly. A sense that you are capable of more, yet unsure how to translate it into stability or income. This is not confusion, it is readiness. The universe is signaling that the gifts you carry are meant to support you, not remain hidden or given away without value. What you create does not need to be perfect to be worthy. It needs to be honored. When Leo consistently underprices talent, minimizes impact, or waits for permission, abundance slows. Not as punishment, but as reflection. The universe responds to how seriously you take yourself. You may feel drawn now to revisit something you once loved, to share ideas publicly, to step into a role where your voice, presence, or vision leads. Start where you are. Begin small if necessary. Movement matters more than scale. As you move, life responds. Life lesson. Creativity is not a luxury. It is a responsibility. Leo enters the richest phase of life by allowing expression to become a source of independence, not just inspiration. If this message speaks to you, comment below. I honor my creativity. Recognition invites expansion. And as your creative power activates, the universe sends the ninth message, one that explains why an opportunity that feels risky is actually the doorway forward. Let us move into message 9. Message 9. When a risky opportunity becomes the doorway forward, the ninth message the universe sends Leo before the richest phase of life begins often arrives wrapped in uncertainty. It looks like risk. Soon, an opportunity may present itself that asks you to step beyond what feels controlled or familiar. It may involve visibility, responsibility, relocation, leadership, or a creative role that places you more fully in view. Your first reaction might be hesitation. Questions arise. Doubts surface. You may wonder if the timing is right, if you are ready, if the cost is too high. This reaction is natural. But the universe does not offer growth without discomfort, and it does not place opportunity in front of Leo unless the capacity to meet it already exists. What makes this moment different is not the opportunity itself, it is your awareness of it. You will feel two emotions at once: fear and excitement, resistance and curiosity. That combination is not confusion, it is confirmation. The universe often disguises turning points as modest invitations. A conversation that feels insignificant, a chance to participate rather than observe, a role that stretches your identity before it expands your circumstances. If you wait to feel fully prepared, the moment will pass. Readiness is not a prerequisite, it is the result of action. Leo is not meant to wait for certainty, you are meant to create it through movement. This does not mean reckless decisions. It means trusting the version of yourself that has already survived uncertainty and grown stronger through it. When this doorway appears, pause, not to retreat, but to breathe. Acknowledge the fear, then step forward anyway. Growth does not announce itself loudly. It invites courage quietly. Life lesson. Fear does not signal danger. It signals expansion. Leo enters the richest phase of life by moving toward growth, not away from it. If this message resonates, comment below. I choose courage. Naming courage strengthens it. And now, as faith is stretched to its edge, the universe sends the 10th and final message, the one that explains why endurance is being asked of you one last time. Let us move into message 10. Message 10. When endurance is tested because the breakthrough is near. The 10th message the universe sends Leo before the richest phase of life begins arrives at a very specific moment. It comes when endurance feels stretched to its limit. You may feel tired in a way that sleep does not fix. Not because you are weak, but because you have been strong for a very long time. This is the kind of exhaustion that appears just before a major shift. The moment when faith is tested not by pain, but by waiting. You may be questioning whether the effort has been worth it, whether the patience has meaning, whether continuing makes sense when results are still forming beneath the surface. The universe is very clear here. This is not the time to withdraw, it is the time to remain steady. Many people stop just before transformation because the discomfort becomes louder than the vision. They interpret pressure as a sign to quit, when in reality it is confirmation that something is about to move. What you are experiencing now is compression, the gathering of energy before expansion. The universe does not test what it intends to abandon. It tests what it is about to elevate. You have already proven your resilience. You have already demonstrated integrity in uncertainty. Now the universe asks for one final quality trust. Not blind trust, earned trust. Trust built through experience, endurance, and self-respect. This phase is not asking you to do more. It is asking you to stay aligned. Remain present, remain grounded, remain committed to the version of yourself you have worked so hard to become. Because what follows this moment is not struggle, it is movement. Life lesson. The hardest moments often appear right before the shift. Leo enters the richest phase of life by holding steady when quitting would be easier. If this message resonates, comment below. I will hold steady. Recognition anchors faith. And now we move into the conclusion where everything comes together. Conclusion, the choice that defines Leo's richest phase. You have now heard the 10 messages the universe sends Leo before the richest phase of life begins. Not as predictions, not as promises, but as confirmations. Each message revealed something important, what to release, what to protect, what to heal, and what to step toward. Together, they form a single truth. The richest phase of your life does not arrive suddenly. It unfolds when identity aligns with readiness. 2026 is not about luck. It is about placement. From this point forward, the choice is yours. You can return to old patterns, overgiving, shrinking, waiting for permission. Or you can step into the version of yourself that no longer negotiates worth, direction, or presence. The universe has done its part by sending the messages. What happens next depends on how you respond. Pay attention over the coming days. Notice patterns, notice inner nudges, notice opportunities that feel different than before. Write them down. Awareness turns signals into guidance. If this message spoke to you at any point, leave a comment and share what stood out. Your voice matters here. And if you wish to continue receiving guidance created specifically for Leo, guidance rooted in depth, clarity, and truth, I invite you to subscribe and stay connected. Not for content, for alignment. Thank you for staying until the end. May you move forward with confidence, clarity, and trust. The richest phase of your life is not approaching. It has already begun.